Welcome in, everyone. We're getting some breaking news over a brand new stimulus bill, this time from Republicans, and it's being called a skinny bill, a smaller, pared-down version of their HEALS Act, which they rolled out a few weeks ago. Now, from our understanding, there's very little Democratic support for this bill at all, but it's born out of the negotiations around the post office and the negotiations over making sure that the post office has additional funding. Now, Mitch McConnell down in Kentucky during an interview said that the post office negotiations have opened a door for them to perhaps put a smaller, pared-down framework together to get some sort of stimulus done. Now, Democrats, for their part, have said we're not going to negotiate at all unless you come to the table with at least $2 trillion. Yes, we can fiddle over some of the numbers, but $2 trillion is where you need to be. Republicans, of course, in their HEALS Act were about $1 trillion. Democrats were up at $3.4 trillion. They went down to $2.4 trillion, and now they're saying $2 trillion. That doesn't seem like really a fair negotiation if you're keeping track at home, but who am I? I'm just a lonely TV guy. I'm not a member of Congress. What do I know?
Come on, man.
But the point is that this negotiation has faltered. Everyone's gone home. The Senate has gone home. They're not in session right now. They're in recess. Any plans of a smaller bill might not even see the light of day and voted on until they get back after September 7th. But we are getting word of this new smaller bill, and I want to go through some of the details now. Before we get there, I want to tell you about our show sponsor, our friends over at Webull. You can get up to 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 for free just for signing up. All you need to do is go to morninginvest.com/Webull. The link is in the description below, and you can get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. So our thanks to them. Okay, let's get into the details and the meat of this new skinnier bill. Now, the framework looks like that it would extend unemployment benefits. The framework is $300. That's down from $600. But at least there's something. $300 unemployment benefits, perhaps through the end of the year. It would also include paycheck protection money, so small businesses would receive extra funding. Beyond unemployment benefits, there's $100 billion set aside for education funding. Now, there are a lot of Republicans that didn't want to spend anything on schools, so this could be a win for some of the more moderate Republicans and Democrats if they can come to an agreement more broadly. But remember, Republicans didn't want to spend anything on education, and Democrats didn't want money just reserved for people going back to the buildings, the physical building schools. They wanted virtual classrooms. So we don't know yet if this will include virtual classrooms or just in-person learning. But we've already seen schools having to go back and close back down again. In Georgia, we saw that recently in college campuses, Michigan State, Notre Dame, UNC, USC has been standing in big lines trying to get tests, so trouble brewing on college campuses right now. The legislation would also provide $10 billion in funding for the Postal Service, which, as you know, is something that Democrats have wanted for a while now. And now, given the light of what's happened over the past few weeks, with the post office removing sorting machines, with overtime hours being cut, this is a good sign for Democrats, $10 billion. They also said they would throw an additional $25 billion in for the Postal Service. That's something that Democrats wanted additionally. So this could be a political football right here, folks. You see what's happening? Is that Republicans are using this as a political football, the post office. They're basically saying, hey, Democrats, we'll give you what you want in the form of mail-in ballots and everything being secure at the post office, but you give us what we want, which is a watered-down, smaller version of our HEALS Act. We don't have to spend as much money, but you'll get what you want in the form of additional postal and service money. How does that sound? I don't know that Democrats are going to go along with this at all, but they're using this right now as the fulcrum. They're using this piece. They're using the post office. As Stephen Mnuchin said, the fact that the Democrats are back in town is a good sign for us. Because they're here negotiating right now over the Postal Service, maybe we can get a framework in place that we can vote on. So, of course, we have the unemployment benefits being slashed to $300 under this bill. But guess what? There's no direct stimulus checks included in this new skinny bill. None. Zero. If you were hoping for $1,200 stimulus checks, that's not a part of this bill, which to me is shocking because they already had an agreement on the $1,200. Republicans, Democrats, even the White House agreed at $1,200. They agreed on this. In fact, Republicans went up from that $500 dependency payment up to $1,200 for dependents. We had an agreement. And now you roll that back? In this, I don't understand that. I really don't. That piece just stands out to me like a sore thumb. But hey, I guess your businesses are all taken care of. right? Your businesses are fine, but people, you're going to get, instead of $600 in unemployment, you get $300. No stimulus checks. We're going to try to keep this thing as small as possible. Here are some more details in this plan. The bill would also give $45 billion to the Department of Health and Human Services. Obviously, they're dealing with a pandemic after all. Of that $45 billion, $20 billion would go towards vaccine and therapeutic manufacturing and production. $16 billion would go to state and local governments. So $16 billion, not the $1 trillion that Democrats wanted for state and local governments, $16 billion for state and local governments. And by the way, we don't even know what sort of restrictions are in place for them to spend that $16 billion. There might be restrictions tied to dispersal of the vaccine. We don't know. There'd be another $6 billion set aside for distribution of potential vaccines once they get a vaccine. So they would at least have money. They could set up centers where people could come and get their vaccine. But again, Senate Republicans are on vacation. They're on recess until September 7th. This is coming together from Senate Republicans right now, and whether or not they get this thing finalized where they would bring members of the Senate back from vacation to vote on it remains to be seen. Don't count on it, especially since Democrats have said don't even bring anything to the table right now with us that does not at least start at $2 trillion. This is miles apart. $500 billion right now is the number that we're hearing on this new skinny bill. $2 trillion is where Democrats want to be. This thing has no direct stimulus checks. Unemployment benefits would be slashed to $300 per week, but at least businesses are taken care of. And hey, at least the post office would be taken care of in this new skinny bill. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about this new plan. We'll be keeping our eyes on it. Also today, the Federal Reserve is meeting, and we're going to see what they say about congressional stimulus action. So we'll hear from Fed Chief Jerome Powell today. When we have it, we will bring it to you. And don't forget, subscribe to my channel. You can hit it right here. It's right here. Just hit that button. It's super simple to do. It's very simple to do. And hit that little bell notification so you'll be notified as soon as we publish a new video. We'll see you next time, everyone.